It almost seems as if we are going through what is called a controlled demolition. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I'd have a talk with you. I'm actually having to go into the office today. Beautiful day outside, so I thought I'd give you a little view of what the roads look like this time of year and have a little talk with you guys about paradigm shifts. Now, for those of you that don't know, what is a paradigm shift? And this is my interpretation of it, so I could be 100% wrong, but this is what I think a paradigm shift means. To me, it means when everything that you know changes to something new. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we've entered the new paradigm and that there's no going back to the way that things used to be. For example, after 9/11 happened, we entered a new paradigm shift. We had less liberties after that incident than we had before it. And of course, we had to give up some liberties in order to be safe, ladies and gentlemen. That's the wolf in sheep's clothing. The Hegelian Dialectic. When not necessarily does the situation have to be man-made. For example, let's say something happens and it's not man-made. However, the powers that be find a solution that benefits the powers that be and not necessarily you and me. Never let a good crisis go to waste are the famous words. And what we're going through now, ladies and gentlemen, I believe has entered us into a new paradigm. We are living in times where I won't say most people, but an awful lot of people are more than happy to trade away their freedoms and their personal rights for what they think is a little bit of safety. And in the end, ladies and gentlemen, just like Benjamin Franklin said, we will end up with neither safety nor liberty. Once you give up liberty in any form, it is rare that you get it back. Why do I say that we've entered a new paradigm shift? Look around, ladies and gentlemen. Do you really think that things are going to go back to the way that they used to be? Although I don't agree what's been said about the economy the way that it was before this health crisis as being touted the best economy in the history of the U.S. Although I don't agree with that, those days are gone. More than 50% of Americans right now are what's called house poor. And what does that mean? That means that more than 50% of Americans have to spend the equivalent of 40% or more of their disposable income on housing, whether it be a rent or a mortgage. The price of everything is going up. And yes, I know I'll have one or two comments saying, well, the prices around here are good. But when you take it with a broad stroke of the brush, the prices of everything is going up. You may have a localized area here or there that maybe the prices are somewhat stabilized. But for the majority of people, prices are going up. Incomes are not keeping up with inflation, ladies and gentlemen. Another way that they're going to get you is with taxes. And guess what they're going to blame it on? They're going to say, oh, it's because of this health crisis that we have to increase your taxes. I just got a tax bill a few days ago, and I was looking at my tax history for where I live. Since I started living there, in the house that I live in now, 4 years ago, my taxes have gone up 20%. I was flabbergasted when I actually looked at it. Because when you look at it on its face, for example, when you look at it, oh, this is how much I have to pay this year. Oh, it's only a few dollars more than last year. Right? Oh, it's only, $27 more than last year. Oh, it's only another $70. It's not that much. Right? But then when you look back, I went ahead and got my taxes for the last 4 years that I've been living there. And I'm like, our taxes have gone up 20%. Actually, if you really want to think about it, it's like 22%, if you really do the math. They're going to start increasing taxes and putting the burden of the bad decisions that they have made onto us, the people who elected them. That's why I hate to call politicians representatives, because they are not there to represent us. They are there just like the Federal Reserve is there. The Federal Reserve is there for the banks, period. Politicians are there for the government. Let me ask you something. The government has this, I forget what the name of it is, but like a plan in case something really bad happens and they have to go to safety, some kind of contingency plan. I forget what it's called. Are you in that plan? When the world goes to heck, are you in that plan? Are you going to be in that bunker in the side of that mountain, whatever mountain it is that they have a bunker underground? Are you in that plan? Is your name in there to go in that bunker with all these politicians, air quote, representatives? Ladies and gentlemen, government is there for government. The Federal Reserve is there for the bank. We are not part of that club. That's why I am so adamant that we prepare and buy stuff. I remember reading a comment once. I was actually on Rethinking the Dollar's premiere once. I wasn't in it. I was just one of the people in the chats. And I remember Michael, who's the host of that channel, he mentioned me for some reason. And someone in the comments, he said it in a joking way, which is fine, it doesn't matter. But he said, I love AP, but all he does is buy a whole bunch of stuff. Absolutely. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because that stuff is real. It's real. And every single day that I sit on a dollar bill, the less that I can buy with it. And I understand that. I was just thinking about going and purchasing an additional water pump for my house and just leaving it in the box, putting it inside a plastic bag and just putting it in a corner under my house. Because the exact same water pump that I bought for my house 4 years ago is now about 25% more than what it used to be. I remember that I bought it for like $189, and it was actually a really good deal, really good pump. And now it's like $230 something. The same water heater that I bought for my house. I have a small water heater in my house, so it wasn't super expensive. It's now about $70 more than when I bought it 4 years ago. That's why I buy stuff. I buy stuff that lasts, that I know that I will need. Imagine how much that water heater or that water pump, is going to cost in 10 years when the one that I have finally goes bad. That's why I buy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Because it is a way of preserving my wealth. Because I know that eventually I'm going to need those things, so I buy them now that I can. I remember telling you guys a while back, when this health crisis first started. I remember saying that, in my opinion, 40 to 50% of all businesses that were shut down at the beginning of this would not reopen. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I just heard of statistics a few days ago that at least 50% of restaurants will not be reopening, that they're shutting their doors permanently. It almost seems as if we are going through what is called a controlled demolition. All of the pillars of our society are systemically being removed one by one, so that all that we are left with is rubble. Our dollar is gone. Our dollar is gone, ladies and gentlemen. They are printing it like there's no tomorrow. And for the dollar, there is no tomorrow. There is absolutely nothing left to back up the dollar without an economy. Someone sent me a video yesterday, I believe, about someone talking and showing the U.S. debt clock. You know, the debt clock, it shows how much the debt is and everything like that. And a lot of parts of that debt clock was going backwards. And this person asked me, what do you think about this? And I looked at it for a few minutes. I actually went to the debt clock and I looked at it. And I noticed that our national debt is still going up. That all of our liabilities, you know, unfunded liabilities are still going up. But that the tax revenues were going down. And employment was going down. So the clock on several things was actually going backwards. And I said, to me, that looks like a symptom of a deflationary depression, where the economy has literally stalled. When tax revenue goes backwards, means that it's going down. It's actually ticking downward. It's going negative. It means that there's no tax revenue. It means that there's less and less and less tax revenue. Why? Because there's less and less and less economic activity. And now, a lot of states are talking about and or implementing another so-called lockdown. Our economy is done, ladies and gentlemen. It will never be what it was. We are in a new paradigm now. You can call this year one or year zero, year whatever you want to call it. We're in a new paradigm. And things are not going to get easier. I just don't see it. I actually made a decision yesterday to go into a little bit of debt. And I'm going to do a video on that when I get into it. I'll do a video on that soon, probably within the next week or two. But I made a decision to go into a little bit of debt. And then on that video, I'll tell you why. Because if you've been with me for a while, you know that I am totally against debt. I do not want to owe anyone anything. But I actually talked to my wife and I actually talked to Victor about it to see what opinion they had. One of the reasons why I decided to go into a little bit of debt is because the dollar is no good. It's no good anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It is holding on by a string. And that is going to be the catalyst. I believe that the dollar is going to be the catalyst. Our debt, our bond. I know that talking about economics is sometimes very dry for a lot of people. But our debt, our bonds, our bond market, those things are going to be the catalyst that implode the dollar. People just don't understand how many dollars, be it digital or be it physical, are floating around out there. and how big a part that plays on what their money, what their wealth is worth, what their labor is worth. When people think they get a raise, they really didn't get a raise. They just got more promissory notes that are worth less than what they were worth the day before. Whatever money we have now, today, you can consider that real money, even though it's fiat. The reason that it's real money at that time, right now, is because it still has some value. But that value goes down every day. I'm probably beating a dead horse by now, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're preparing. And I know there's a lot of people out there. I know there is. There's a lot of people out there that use their financial status as an excuse to not prepare. You don't have to get gold. You don't have to get silver. You don't have to get a whole bunch of stuff. Like Happy Prepper says, you don't have to get all of that expensive stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, at the very minimum, get the first 3 B's of prepping. Get your things that sustain life. Food, water, shelter. Get those things that you need in order to stay healthy, with hygiene, with medicines. And by all means, get some self-defense in whatever form you feel is adequate for your situation. Just remember this about self-defense, ladies and gentlemen. Self-defense, or a pew-pew, if you know what I mean, all it is a tool. Okay? And when it's used for self-defense, it's just used to level the playing field between a 125-pound young mother and a 300-pound crazy person that wants to do bad things. It levels the playing field. If you think about it that way, maybe it'll make a little bit of sense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw, I pulled into my favorite gas station. I'm going to go get my coffee and head on over to work. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope this wasn't too much of a dark video for you guys. It's just that it's very important to me that people understand that we are in a new paradigm, and we still have a little bit of time to prepare. A few videos back, I remember saying something like, I still think we have a few years, like till 2023, 2024. Maybe so, as far as food production goes. But as far as everything else goes, as far as the societal breakdown that we're seeing throughout our country, as far as the fleecing of our wealth that we've been seeing for a while now, as far as the government trying to take more and more of our liberties because they want to keep us safe, ladies and gentlemen. They love us. Things are ramping up. I think that the rest of this year is going to be very interesting times to live in. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.